Welcome back, everyone, to episode 19 of the Tricks and Traps Speedrun. So I'm coming into today, rated 1323, and hopefully we'll have another tricky and trappy day of chess. Let's hop into the first game. Okay, first opponent. I'll play e4, and we have a Sicilian. And last episode, I didn't play any Gambits, but today will be different. Playing the Wing Gambit. And black is actually not accepting the Gambit, so just taking over the center, attack the bishop. And this is already a very pleasant position for white. Have the two center pawns, and black has to kind of figure out where to put the bishop here. Okay, bishop b4, we'll play c3. Simply blocking the check, establishing very solid center. And now the bishop has to move again. Maybe to a5, maybe to e7. See bishop a5. And now I have a choice how to continue developing. Could consider bishop a3 to exploit the dark squares. But I'm going to play bishop to d3 here. I think this is a more flexible move. Okay, knight f6. So it's very likely black will castle soon. Play knight to f3. Okay, queen c7 does attack the pawn on c3. So, do I need to defend the pawn? Like, the first thing to calculate is castle, take, and take, and take. Honestly, that looks pretty good for white. I don't mind losing a pawn if black's gonna have the queen on a pretty exploitable square. I'm thinking takes, 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 and then bishop to g5. Not only pressuring the knight, but also setting up a nice tactic. Let's see if black is aware. The biggest threat here is rook c1 to skewer the queen and the bishop on the c file. Okay, knight c6. It's probably a good move, ensuring rook c1 does not win material for me. Now it's a question how to find compensation for the pawn that I sacrificed. I could start with rook c1. d5 comes to mind. d5 might actually lead to another sacrifice of a pawn. But actually that looks pretty good. If black wants to take another pawn, then the e file will open and should be having lots of fun. Okay, knight e5. So yeah, attacking a couple things. I could take and then take. What to do? Rook c1, there's queen takes d3. So I think I have to take on e5. Queen will take back. Now I'm thinking f4. Attack the queen. Defend the bishop. King h1. So still interesting. I mean, we traded a bit. I am still down a pawn. Actually, now down 2 pawns. However, the center is finally opening up a bit. I'm going to take the knight. Expecting this, and now I'll take on e6. Now, if d takes e6, it's mate in 1. If queen takes e6, I pin and win. So this is probably... Okay, well, checkmate. That ended abruptly. Yeah, I was going to say that after f takes e6, I think I have queen d6. And yeah, white's probably doing very, very well here. King f7, maybe the only move, but then check. The king would have to run. Yeah, this is +7 in white's favor. King f7, actually f5 is best, apparently. But yeah, going back, it was a position that... Oh, I was going to say that, like, maybe black is okay, but actually white is just much, much better already. Any clear improvements? Yeah, here black has to be very careful. H6 was best, but white is still for choice. So that brings me to 1331. Let's keep it going. All right, next opponent. Playing Charles van den Hurk. And let's play e5. And I'll look to play another Gambit, but not a Stafford Gambit. I was going to say, if bishop b5, I was ready to play a Schliemann. We see bishop to c4. So I'll still play f5. This is the Rousseau Gambit. It's a line that I have played, I think, in a previous episode of this series. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, e4 should be the move here. And the whole point of f5 is to take over the center. d5 is nice, not only to attack the bishop, but also defending the pawn. I can take on f5. And especially at this rating level, I think it's very, very common to reach a position like this from the Russo, where already black should be for choice. Bishop e7 broke the pin on the e-file. White got a bit careless there. I'm moving a little bit too quickly. And okay, let's continue the aggression. Knight d4, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. I am allowing queen takes d5, but then takes, and then takes. We'll trap the rook on a1. And I'm not scared of queen h5. There's g6 to attack and defend. And the bishop's already defended by the knight. Okay, no mercy. Knight e2 is a fork. Another benefit of having the knight on a center square. So quick win, 10 moves. I don't think there's too much to analyze. Let me just make sure. Yeah, after pawn takes pawn, this is already a little bit preferable for black. White's best move is knight d4 here. Wow. Knight d4 with idea that if I take, there's queen h5. Interesting. Could be an interesting counter trap to the Russo. White's better. So if I ever run into this move, then knight f6 should be played, developing and covering h5. Okay, small takeaway. So that brings me to 1339. Let's keep it going. Playing knight fret, play e4. Okay, let's play a Scotch Gambit. If black takes, I'll play bishop c4. Yeah, the mainline Scotch is knight takes d4, a bit more common. But bishop c4, it's a very tricky and venomous line, especially at this rating level. Most players will play knight f6. There's other moves, there's bishop c5, even bishop b4 too. If bishop b4, I'll play c3, gambit the pawn. Okay, let's castle. So this is actually somewhat of a double gambit if black takes the pawn. Then I'll play rook e1, have some nice compensation and initiative. Pretty sure knight takes e4 is like the main line. But black plays bishop e7. And now pawn e5 looks very attractive. Lunging forward, attacking the knight. And there's a very typical counterattack, pawn d5, which doesn't work for black in this position because I can take, and then takes, and then I take the bishop. If the bishop were still on f8, then it's usually more playable for black. And now it's a question for black where to put the knight. If knight e4, I can attack it. But then there's a line like rook e1, d5, en passant, knight takes back on d6. considering this move, then the knight will save itself. So I think the principled approach is actually c3 here. Try and get black to take the pawn. And if black takes, I can play queen d5, threatening mate and threatening the knight. Okay, black castles. So taking back would be like the first logical option. But if I take back, there's d5, and if I en passant, I'm not really keeping my huge space advantage. So I'm going to start with bishop d5. Attacking the undefended knight. And then also preventing future pawn d5 from black. And black gives me the knight for free, basically. Not completely for free, black is taking another pawn. But yeah, I'll be up a knight for 2 pawns. And usually in the middle game, such a material imbalance will be very, very favorable for white. Just because the minor pieces can be used to attack. And I'll have more open files or half-open files. If we see takes and takes, it's kind of reminiscent of a Danish gambit, with the 2 bishops aimed at the king side. So life is pretty good here. Not entirely sure what to expect from black. Bishop c5, so yeah, when such a move is played, the bishop's not defended, and first thing to consider is potential tactics. And there's a couple different tactics with bishop takes h7 and then queen c2, or queen c2 right away. Not sure which is stronger. I'll play queen c2 right away. That way I'll keep my light squared bishop. And probably what I want to do, let's say bishop b6, I can take on h7, king h8, and then queen h5, and try and swing over to, or queen f5, and then try and swing over to h5 or h3. So this could very well lead to a mating attack. And there's d6 here to defend the bishop and prepare to develop the other bishop. Then I'll still take on h7. And actually, if I take on h7, the king moves to h8, then it'll align with the other bishop. There might be ideas of like taking or pushing. Bishop b6 is played. So, yeah, queen f5 looks pretty nice. But I should calculate, like if g6, e6, discover check. If f6 I can take, let's do it. Yeah, sometimes you have to be careful when the move g6 exists that I'm not losing the bishop. But after this move, yeah, either e6 or queen h3. Not sure which is stronger. Okay, here probably queen h5. So setting up the discovery, threatening mate in 2. Like any bishop retreating move will be mate. Will be mate after king g8, queen h7. It's almost force mate. I think there's one move here for black to survive. Bishop g4. And then once the queen is attacked, any bishop move just runs into bishop takes h5. But black resigns. Yeah, if my opponent found bishop g4, the position's probably not resignable. Like the game would go on, I would take. It's still very good for white. Actually, because yeah, the knight's coming in. So yeah, tough game for black. Finished in 14 moves. So yeah, nice example of how to be aggressive with the Scotch Gambit. Yeah, this is playable actually for black. After c3, the best move would have been d5. And then if I en passant, there's takes, bishop d5. Playable for both sides. Anyway, another quick win brings me to 1347. Let's keep it going. Okay, next opponent. Play e4 again. This time we have a Caro Kann. Oh, let's play, there's an opening that people keep asking me to play in the comments. I think it's called the Von Henning. It involves something with f3. Maybe it's similar to a Black Mardimer. Apologies that like I don't always know the exact names or what the names refer to, but I'll do my best to play some kind of aggressive gambit. Although my opponent is the one who's gambiting. Okay. I think my opponent maybe watched like one Gotham chess video where he shows e5, c5, and probably got confused. c5 is definitely not a good move for black there. And this is already looking really, really nice for white. Bishop f4 threatening knight c7. Has some similar vibes to Jobava London. Black's completely undeveloped. Yeah, I don't even know what black should be doing here. Knight a6 I can take. And knight c7 next. Oh, there is queen a5. But then b4, queen takes a6, knight c7 with a triple fork. Yeah, if I were black, I would probably resign and then cry. Or cry and then resign. Maybe there's some attempt, e5, take, and then check. But it only delays the pain for so long. The opponent is tanking. Surely realizing the danger of what's happening. But I think it's already past the point of no return. Okay, f6. So trying to maybe run away with the king. Knight c7, king f7. Actually a decent move to prolong the game. I'll go for this. And not only did I win the knight, but I'm going to win the rook next. So here black has maybe one logical move. And there's queen h5, g6, doesn't really lead to much. So I'll take the rook. Yeah, king f1. I will try and get this over with as quickly as possible. But now with the queen on a5, queen h5 is prevented. So what to do? Could bring the knight back. I could take the pawn. Yeah, taking the pawn actually looks quite nice. There's no fork. E-pawn is pinned. Okay, where to put the queen? Queen e3 perhaps? Actually, queen e3, bishop c5. I'll play queen d3. Keeping it on the d file. Yeah, kudos to my opponent for kind of weathering the storm of the opening tactics and getting a somewhat, I don't want to say playable position because it's still Black is still down a lot of material, but it's a position where black is not dead yet. I'll bring the knight back to a more useful place. And maybe there's a plan of queen b3, just pressure the pawn on e6. Definitely have to watch out for my king. Yeah, there's some knight d4. I wanted to play this, but knight d4 is a little bit annoying. Maybe queen h3. I do have to be a little bit concerned about the safety of my king too. Just with the rook and queen potentially controlling squares. But there's no danger just yet. More danger for black's king and entire king side. Okay, so the king runs. If I take on e6, I could take with knight or bishop. Take with knight. Setting up some discoveries. Take with queen or bishop now. Take with queen. So king f8, it's made in one. King h8 still takes a little bit of work. Develop the knight. Now I'm dreaming of some other mate, like sack the queen and get knight f7. The pawn is restricting my knight a bit. I might go for h4, knight g5. Do some fishing pole to open the h-file. Okay, that's checkmate. Okay, opponent survives 18 moves. Yeah, this is hopefully an important lesson. c5 should not be played against knight c3. I think like the most likely scenario is that my opponent maybe has learned this line, and yeah, here c5 is more justified, where it's resembling a French. But yeah, after knight c3, the main move is to take. And then I was going to try some Gambit, probably f3. And this is a Rasa Studier Gambit. What's the von Henning then? Have to do some research. Anyway, that brings me to 1355. Let's do another. Okay. Opponent plays e4. Play e5. Okay, another bishop c4. Let's play the two knights. Knight to f6. Inviting the fried liver. At least the beginning of the fried liver. There's a lot of tricky responses to knight g5 for black. But here we have a center fork trick. Knight takes e4. This is a very, very common opening trick at this rating level. And my opponent's going a little bit crazy. Yeah, this looks like a free knight. Was trying a delayed fried liver, but it definitely backfired. Okay, d4 does open the bishop, but my queen defends the knight, so I'll take a pawn. Yeah, life is very good here. Up a bishop and a pawn. Winning another pawn. Okay, so white wants me to like maybe take both rooks and then get queen f7, which is still probably winning, like king d8, and I don't think there's a follow-up for white. Let's take the knight first. Actually, yeah, let's take the knight first. Because king d2 I can take here. No mercy. Ooh, is our mate. There's knight f5. Okay, let's take the bishop. Actually, then queen e5. Okay, everything's winning. I'll just take the bishop. Queen takes e5, knight e6. And I'm up 3 minor pieces, along with some pawns. So 12-move game. Yeah, somewhat of an opening disaster for white. Usually white should just take, allow the fork, and then bishop d3 I think is the best line. But yeah, I think there's not really much more to discuss there. So that brings me to 1363. A lot of quick games today. Let's keep it going. I think all my games so far have been less than 20 moves. This time we have bishop c4. I'll play another 2 knights. We'll see if white wants to play more of a main line. d3, okay, so this is some more solid Italian. And yeah, against this, it's a bit more difficult to gambit. I think I just want to be active. I could take on e3. It's actually a very common situation where when bishop e3 is played, you can take, you can move back. But I'll go for taking. White hasn't castled yet. And I can strike in the center with d5. After takes, I'll hit e3. Okay, a lot of trades. But the trades have basically been beneficial for me because now I have more space in the center. I do have to spend a tempo moving my queen. Queen c5 or queen a5? Queen c5, there's d4. I'll play queen a5. I'm still liking the position. I can complete development pretty easily. Bishop g4. So pinning the knight to the queen. And I want to be aggressive, so let's castle queenside. I'm probably ready to pawn storm going forward in the middle game. White wants to do the same. My queen is a little bit awkward here. Like there's idea of b4, queen b6, knight a4. So what to do? Like maybe I should move to c5 and then keep it in the center. Because I really don't like giving white so much initiative. There's also taking first. Yeah, white's playing a good game so far. Definitely higher quality of play compared to the previous games. Now, I'm not really seeing an attractive option for me. Like, as much as I want to generate tricks in the position, I'm thinking queen c5, allow b4, and then queen e7. And if b5, my knight has to go somewhere ugly. But white's attack is not like that fast, I don't think. Because it's hard for white to actually open files by force. Just realizing opponent does not have the best connection. Uh-oh. Opponent disconnected there for a moment. Okay, knight d2. A logical move, unleashing the rook. Looking to maneuver the knight. Go for f6. Yeah, so far I have not been tricky or trappy. Like it's sometimes hard against opponents who play solidly. But we're entering the middle game. As soon as I get some time to like activate, f5 is probably now on tap. b4 is probably coming. White's playing very well. So f5, knight c5. Yeah, b5 is also a move I have to deal with. If I play f5, knight c5, then maybe like b5 is not an immediate threat. The pawn's tied down to defending the knight. But what do I do after this? Bishop gets a bit stuck. Maybe rook f8. Let's go for this. I feel like I need to grab space. I should note, after knight c5, white is probably threatening h3 to make my bishop move and then win the pawn. So rook f8 will over-defend the pawn. And if h3 now, I can safely play bishop h5. Yeah, my choice of going for offset side castling maybe backfired a little bit. White is getting the early pressure. Meanwhile, this king is much safer than my king. So queen g3. A logical move, but what can I do? h5? h5, h4. Just storm. I think this is okay. I'm going to try and use the white queen as fuel for my attack. h4 comes with tempo. Queen supports the pawn. The bishop cannot be taken. So I got a couple free tempi there. Getting the pawn in. And the inclusion of h3 probably helps me, because now the prospect of g5, g4, it'll be a pawn break. Now it's much easier for me to open a file. Okay, b5 is still scary. And then there's queen a5 to follow up. Yeah, I still have to be really, really careful. I might start with knight b8. As ugly as it seems. Like, the knight's not doing anything on c6 to begin with. And then it can redevelop to d7 and maybe try and trade off. I have to watch my time as well. Opponent's doing a better job of time management. Okay, taking with queen loses a pawn, so I'll take with rook. If queen a5, I have king b8. Another idea is to lift the rook. Rook f6 to g6 in combination with queen g5. Okay, that was unexpected. I think that's just a free pawn. And white's maybe trying to open the king a little bit. I can take this way or this way. Kind of leaning towards this way. It does allow queen c3 check, but then king b8. And the c-file could be nice to have. And this is a pretty solid pawn shelter for the king. So we are on move 23. So the first game in this episode where I'm not winning within 20 moves. But definitely a much higher quality game. Still very much a fight. Getting low on time. So, okay, knight c4 might be coming. I'm going to start with king b8. Just having some brief disconnect there, I think. I'm not sure if it's my internet or maybe server issues. At knight c4, I can consider b5. I don't really want to give white the pawn break, though. a4 is still coming. Okay, let's go for this. Probably see knight a5. And then I definitely don't want to play b6 allowing knight c6. So I'll play this. Try and use the c file, maybe prepare this. Interesting. Okay, b6. b6 looks good. There's no knight c6. If knight b3, I can win another pawn. White's still going to have some attack, though, with a4, a5. But I'll have time. Like, if a4, I have queen b4. Which I think does a good job of neutralizing everything. But this is probably one of the biggest fights of the speedrun. Both of us getting low on time. And this is usually a move I don't want to play when I want to attack and be tricky and trappy. But I'm up 2 pawns, so let's just make sure I'm keeping some advantage. Because white can't play queen d1 because bishop takes d1. If white wants to avoid the queen trade and save the knight, there is queen b1, but that's a bit awkward. I guess it kind of attacks a pawn. Yeah, queen b1 is interesting. Otherwise, we'll see this and then this. Queen b1 is played. I want to set up a trick. Like bishop e2, and there's f4. If I play this, there's rook takes. Wow. I play g6. Defending f5 and preparing this. a5, b5. It'll still take some work. I could also play this. Oh, but then take queen a2. Let's play b5. And white's being resourceful. Queen d3 might be coming. It's not over. Rook here. Okay, this should be winning the knight. Scary when the pawn's here and just can't allow the queen to come to b7. Yeah, I was more scared of queen d3 instead of a6, though. It does look like I'm forcing the queen trade. Or winning the knight. It's also nice my bishop is controlling d1. It's really hard to get anything in via the d file. And yeah, it does look like this game is going to be determined by time. Knight a5 played. Let's take bishop e2. There's also rook c5, but yeah, bishop e2 defends the pawn. Nice maneuver to get the bishop back into the game. Okay. Yeah, very hard fought game. Final position is very, very good for black. But yeah, earlier I wasn't feeling so comfortable. You just start from the opening, an Italian, bishop e3. Not the most common move. I tried to play in the most principled approach, d5. Black is slightly better here. Okay, maybe queen a5 was some small inaccuracy, because the queen got out of play and then white used it as fuel for their pawn storm. So the best move is queen d6 to keep the option open of coming to the king side. Then, oh wow, it could have actually been much worse for me. This position, white has knight g5, which I guess we both overlooked. And white's winning material here. f6 allows knight f7. Bishop h5, but then still takes and down a pawn, white's activating. Yeah, it could have been in a lot of trouble. White played a3. Still knight g5 is very strong. He has mutual blindness. And then later, okay, knight g3 is best. But yeah, that's an engine move. Knight c5 is way more natural. Later, I was able to keep things under control. And then b6, this was kind of self-destructing for white. Like queen a5 probably stronger. But I want to go forward because at some point later I was still feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Queen b1. So here, yeah, white can actually fight here. Queen d3 is one option. And then I would have to be very careful. Like a6 is the best move, but that's not super obvious. If I play this to try and win the knight, there's queen d5. And if I take the knight, I lose my rook. If I take with rook, white's winning this. So yeah, it could have been very tricky. But thankfully, yeah, we traded queens. I had the time advantage. Managed to keep my clean streak alive. So we are finishing today at 1371. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the chess. If you have questions, leave them below. If you like the content, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.